Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the work that you guys are doing. I'm hoping that you can save space to interview other families as well and hear their stories. I almost didn't come to testify today. Documenting and reliving my family's trauma is extremely overwhelming, but I'm here. What initially prompted me to document my family was learning that my fourth great grandfather, John Binion, enslaved and in the loosest of context, fathered my third great grandfather, Simon Binion. I've been working on my family's genealogy for 2 decades and have many, many stories to share, but two that I want to share with you today I think would resonate. My great grandmother, Evelyn, married my great-grandfather Anias Binion in 1906. In 1928, he was hanged, and my great-grandparents' home was torched, killing their youngest child. No time to grieve nor bury her husband and child, my grandmother fled Georgia and headed to California, landing in Sacramento in 1929. It's important that you know she held the pain of losing her husband and child her entire life. Bottling up her grief made her distant, and her aversion and fear of white America I now understand. She mourned in her own way, but never truly healed. And in 1929, she married Pearlie Monroe in Sacramento, California. Pearlie's grandparents, Nancy and Peter Gooch, were enslaved in California, brought to Coloma in 1849, freed when California entered the Union as a free state in 1850. When Nancy was taken to California, she was forced to leave her only child and son, Andrew, behind in Missouri, sold to the Monroe family. In 1870, Andrew, his wife, and two sons, one of which was my great-grandfather Pearlie, made their way to California. Their way paid by Nancy from money she earned growing and selling fruit, mending clothes, and cooking for the local miners. Nancy, her descendants, Pearlie, and my grandmother purchased some 400 acres of land in Coloma, California. Close to 300 acres of that land was seized over the course of 10 years by the state of California under eminent domain proceedings to build a state park. The land wherein Marshall Gold Discovery Park sits was primarily owned by three black land-owning families, one of which is mine, the Gooch Monroes. Just compensation was never given to any of these families, and we were denied the financial security and wealth associated with land ownership. Harmed beyond repair, Pearlie spent the rest of his life mourning this loss. I also want to tell you about my maternal fourth great-grandmother, Pleasant Brent. Born enslaved in Kentucky in 1845, Pleasant's daughter, Lavinia, born into chattel slavery as well, would fight to right the wrongs perpetuated by those who enslaved Black America. In the late 1800s, she is one of many to petition Congress for compensation for their years of enslavement and for Congress to draft laws to better their condition. Although unsuccessful, this effort was one of the earlier attempts to right the wrongs of slavery and secure reparations. Pleasant, her daughter Lavinia, and grandchildren made their way to California in 1909. Their move was preceded by Pleasant's brother Henry arriving in California in 1870. Henry purchased a significant amount of land in what is now Midtown Sacramento, land encompassing M&N Street, bounded by 24th and 26th. By 1900, he would purchase additional parcels and homes throughout Sacramento. Henry died in 1912, and upon his death, his property, including the land purchases, were auctioned by the state under the pretense that he had no living heirs nor descendants, although his sister, my fourth great-grandmother, was alive and well. Pleasant contested the proceedings, but her efforts were futile, and that land and property that were rightfully hers was taken. The stories I have shared are just two of hundreds of thousands. There are too many families here in California and across the United States to count, with stories similar to mine. It's profoundly evident that descendants of chattel slavery, those living through Jim Crow, and institutionalized racism continue to be harmed, denied the same rights, freedoms, financial independence, and wealth of that of white America. This country was built on racist principles, ingrained in its moral fiber, and today complacency has normalized racism, widening the wealth gap between Black and white American families. With the institution of slavery setting the stage, we cannot deny the discriminatory practices that continue, magnifying disparities that directly affect our Black communities. Federal policies that do not correct and are rooted in racial practices continue to preserve the health, employment, housing, educational, and wealth inequities that directly harm Black America.
Okay, Dawn, you can take a moment to yourself and begin to proceed whenever you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I was also asked, what does reparations look like? Making amends. There's so much. And I almost feel guilty for feeling the pain that I feel. But it's real. It resonates with me. This is my family. These are the stories that have been told and retold. And it hurts. And how do you fix that? You know, how do you right a wrong that is so systemic? And I don't know. I think we can start by eliminating the wealth gap, you know, however that looks, what we need to do, direct cash payments, just compensation for land that was stolen, education, educational resources, capital acquisition, access to wealth. You know, we've been denied this for so long. It's time to make a change. And I think there's enough people that know that we need to push this as far as we can go. And there has to be some repair. There has to be reparations. You know, this I don't know where to begin. I'm sorry, I'm getting too emotional. But yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.